What a man experiences when he witnesses that your self-respect is more powerful than your feelings for him is not a beautiful or soft moment. It is an event that destroys his ego in that specific second. He does not just lose your warmth, he loses his dominant status. This content does not exist to offer you simple comfort or to falsely boost your mood. It serves to reveal the exact mental process that triggers when he realizes he can no longer possess you at any price. When that shift occurs, the connection is never the same for either person. You are about to explore the 6 real mental stages his mind undergoes when your dignity takes control, moving from his first moment of confusion to the final reversal of power. If you stop listening before the conclusion, you will miss the most critical and dangerous part. This is the part that separates a woman who falls back into old habits from the woman who will never be disrespected again. This is not merely another video. It conveys essential truths you must acknowledge if you seek to preserve your essence in the name of love. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung posited that one cannot genuinely connect with another unless they first confront their own inner shadows. This principle directly applies here. Your self-respect compels him to confront aspects of himself from which he has previously fled. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section. At the right moment, this insight can transform not just your mood, but also the very framework of how you love. The journey begins once he realizes that there are no more concessions to be made. Pay close attention, for a prevalent misconception is about to shatter. A man may not recognize that he is losing you when you physically depart. Rather, he becomes aware when he can no longer sway your internal emotions. It is not tied to a specific phrase or rule you assert. Instead, it represents a subtle shift in your inner stance. He perceives this change long before he can articulate it. Consider the story of a woman named Crispal. She was profound, loving, and fiercely loyal. She neither chased nor pleaded, which gave the illusion of dignity from an outside perspective. Yet internally, she grappled with her own values, making excuses for his absence and tolerating minor untruths for the sake of tranquility. Then one day, something fundamental shifted within her. For years, she had mistaken patience for maturity, believing that yielding equated to caring. Unintentionally, she conveyed that her boundaries were negotiable. However, she eventually ceased justifying her decisions, not through anger or departure, but by no longer compromising her values, even in minor ways. This unseen transformation reconfigures everything. When you return to your core self, your energy no longer pleads for his presence. He senses an immediate loss of connection to your spirit. His initial reaction is not fear, but profound discomfort. Although he cannot pinpoint it, your silence distinctly feels altered. Your boundaries shift from being seen as defensive to being recognized as undeniable truths. This compels him to cease his disregard and to reassess his own position. When a woman ceases to be negotiable, a man is confronted with a new reality. Initially, he might not recognize that he is losing her. Instead, he perceives he is losing his comfortable leverage. This transformation occurs when you undertake 3 pivotal interchanges. You stop remaining in spaces that constrict your physical and emotional being. You refrain from justifying your needs to someone who is unprepared to hear them, and you start making choices that prioritize your own needs, irrespective of his preferences. By doing so, you are not acting cruelly. You are asserting clarity. For someone accustomed to your confusion, such clarity can be profoundly intimidating. Consequently, he begins to carefully consider his words and timing, recognizing he can no longer count on your unfailing adaptability. This marks the onset of genuine respect, as many women mistakenly equate dignity with being hard or unapproachable, when in truth, it is about maintaining consistency. Crispal did not become distant. Rather, she became whole, prompting him to question his place in her life. You transition from merely reacting to his actions to being an active participant in your own life. You are not chasing after him. You are choosing for yourself. This diminishes his ability to utilize you for convenience. Once your heart comprehends that love does not necessitate suffering, it cannot revert to old patterns. He realizes he can no longer depend on your vulnerability, which compels him to either mature or depart. Both outcomes stem from your decision to reconnect with yourself. You need not physically leave a situation to become less negotiable. Returning to your own soul suffices. When you achieve this, the connection is no longer solely upheld by your efforts. The second step demonstrates why your dignity fosters greater respect than any affection you may have previously offered. It may sting to acknowledge, but love devoid of structure merely blends into the background. What significantly influences a man's perspective is the strength you demonstrate while loving him. When you love without sacrificing your identity, he is no longer able to treat you as a mere habit. Offering more affection does not inherently produce deeper commitment. Often, it merely establishes a tedious routine. Dignity introduces a profound new reality. Jung elucidated that the mind respects that which possesses clear shapes and edges. With your boundaries in place, he perceives a line that cannot be crossed without necessitating a transformation within himself. He begins to contrast the woman you currently are with the version of you that once waited and hoped. Previously, your love was a certainty. Now, access to you is a privilege. He starts to ponder whether he is willing to improve in order to maintain his position by your side. This is neither a game nor a manipulation. Understanding this is about redefining oneself, not a reaction to his behavior. Your energy no longer seeks external validation, as you are already nurturing it within yourself. In therapeutic settings, men frequently mention that they feel their partner has changed and that previous dynamics seemed simpler. However, simplicity is not synonymous with love. Rather, it is merely convenience unaccompanied by cost. This is where many women falter. When he begins to pay closer attention out of concern, the temptation to revert to old habits can be overwhelming. However, employing dignity as a tactic will ultimately fail. It must become an intrinsic aspect of who you are. This marks the juncture at which the relationship transitions from a fantasy to a deliberate choice. Your dignity does not guarantee his continued presence, but it ensures you will not lose yourself in the process. Paradoxically, this is what exerts the most significant influence. You cease to be in a position of judgment. Rather, he must now assess whether he can rise to meet your newfound standard. This respect is rooted in calmness and clarity rather than victimhood. By refraining from acting out of pain, you strip him of the ability to manipulate your emotions. Dignity leaves an indelible imprint. You become a benchmark for him, transcending mere fond memories. Some men evolve from this experience while others retract. In either case, you are no longer forfeiting your soul to maintain a relationship. The final step is when his respect morphs into an underlying fear, not the fear of a child, but the fear of an adult who realizes he may not measure up to your expectations. He yearns to be close, yet he is apprehensive about revealing his shortcomings. He may express mixed signals or fluctuate between warmth and distance as he tests your presence. However, when he realizes you are not pursuing him for answers, his anxiety intensifies. He can no longer adjust his mood by manipulating your emotions. He is confronting his authentic self, devoid of pretenses, a challenge many men struggle with. Do not be misled by his sudden intensity. It may not signify genuine love. Rather, it might stem from a man's attempt to regain control. Your role is to remain composed. By allowing silence to linger, he is compelled to confront his own void. Your dignity unveils the truth of the relationship. Love rooted in respect seeks consistency, whereas love arising from fear merely seeks validation. By maintaining your center, you can sift out those who are unprepared for a mature relationship. He now finds himself anxiously monitoring the clock and considering his words, understanding that your heart is no longer his by default. He must earn his way back into it. This newfound independence elevates your value in his eyes. However, this is a precarious phase for you. When he expresses confusion or sadness, you may feel inclined to revert to your previous role as the caregiver. Succumbing to this impulse would trigger a repetitive cycle. Instead, if you stand firm, a new dynamic emerges. Your consistency is not an act of cruelty, but a demonstration of steadfastness that compels him to choose a side. Either he will rise to become a better man, or he will fade from your life. Dignity does not diminish to accommodate anyone. You need not issue threats. Your refusal to compromise your standards speaks volumes. This approach saves you years of unproductive effort and reveals who can genuinely engage with you on your level. The pivotal moment arrives when he recognizes that the previous version of you, who would bend excessively, is no longer present. Any nostalgia he feels is likely for the ease of his former life, not for you specifically. You are no longer bearing his burdens. If he chooses to stay, he will begin to regard you with genuine respect and acknowledge his accountability, realizing he must evolve to maintain your affection. You have transitioned from being merely his safe harbor to a person deserving of respect. Should he decide to leave, the conclusion is different this time. There is no drama or pleading, and you do not pursue him. This absence of pursuit leaves an indelible mark on his soul. He will remember the woman who would not compromise her integrity for love. You may question whether you were overly harsh, but in reality, you were simply honoring your true self. Love that thrives only when you diminish yourself is not authentic. The next step is when this self-respect becomes your enduring identity. You are not merely reacting to a breakup. You are living fully. Your yes bears meaning, and your no is resolute. You need not prove anything, for you are aware of your worth. This awareness renders you magnetic. Those unable to manage your strength will quietly depart, and that is perfectly acceptable. You cease to fall for superficial promises, as your heart can now discern genuine effort from mere pretense. You no longer fragment yourself to please others, nor do you rely on external validation to feel worthy. You have already claimed that acknowledgement for yourself. The final transformation occurs when your entire existence shifts from within. No longer do you act from a place of fear or past traumas. You assess whether a relationship honors your essence, rather than questioning your adequacy within it. Your body learns that love need not be a struggle. You need not articulate your boundaries. You live them. A man does not forget a woman such as this, for she is complete. She has not betrayed her own needs for the sake of love. You have broken the cycle of repeating past mistakes. Your dignity no longer acts as a barrier. It serves as a beacon guiding others on how to engage with you. It eliminates those who are not suited for you while inviting in those ready for something authentic. You no longer look back with grief, but with insight, understanding your previous vulnerabilities while recognizing you can never revert to that state. You no longer seek to complete yourself through a man. Instead, you share your life from a position of wholeness. This form of love endures, and you find no need to persuade anyone to remain. Your mere presence communicates everything. Always remember, you establish the boundaries that instruct others on how to love genuinely. What transpires when this reversal reaches its conclusion, and your dignity transforms from a protective measure into your new norm? This marks the moment when the power dynamic becomes unalterable. When a man understands he cannot negotiate your value, he shifts from shock to a comprehensive reevaluation of both you and himself. As you progress into this new phase, you may observe him examining your changes. He may look for vulnerabilities and expect that eventually You will revert to a version of yourself that feels obligated to explain. Instead, as you remain steadfast, he encounters a psychological barrier. This barrier forces him to choose whether he is capable of engaging with a high-value woman or if he can only flourish in circumstances where a woman relies emotionally on him. Your silence, coupled with your dedication to your own center, acts as a reflective surface for him. For the first time, he shifts his focus from your needs to his lack of initiative. This moment is where real transformation occurs. Should he remain, it is because you have inspired him to grow. If he departs, it is because he recognizes he cannot afford the caliber of a woman who respects herself. In either scenario, you emerge victorious, liberated from the chains of his unpredictability. You now exist in a state of internal equilibrium, which prevents old, painful patterns from resurfacing. You no longer have to strive for dignity. You embody it. This is the ultimate aspiration, a love that is chosen freely, safeguarded by boundaries, and nurtured by mutual respect rather than emotional manipulation. Ultimately, the complete transformation manifests when you comprehend that your dignity transcended mere influence over him. You experience a transformation in the very essence of your being. No longer do you attract those who seek to exploit your kindness for their own benefit. Instead, you become a person who exudes a quiet strength, one that doesn't need to shout to make its presence known. You transition from a place of yearning for love to a state of understanding your inherent worth. At this juncture, your past loses its power over you. You can regard the individual who once diminished your spirit with a sense of calm and appreciation for the lessons learned. You have completed the journey of overcoming self-betrayal and have embraced a life of self-love. This marks the conclusion of your previous narrative and the dawn of a new chapter where you dictate your own happiness. As you reach this pivotal stage, he may attempt one final set of psychological challenges, testing the authenticity of your newfound dignity, perhaps by invoking cherished memories to see if you will waver and neglect your boundaries. He may also exhibit moments of deliberate vulnerability, displaying an acute sadness to draw you back into your former role as his emotional caretaker. These actions may not be consciously orchestrated, but rather instinctive responses from someone striving to regain a lost sense of control. If you maintain your composure during these trials, something remarkable emerges in his psyche: genuine admiration. He realizes that you have achieved a level of maturity that he cannot manipulate. The dynamics between you shift, moving away from a struggle for dominance and centering on the authenticity of your connection. Should he possess the capacity for true change, he will cease his tests and begin to honor you. He will acknowledge that to maintain a relationship with you, he must present his best self daily. Conversely, if he is incapable of such growth, your dignity serves as an effective barrier, preventing any further squandering of your time. Your internal fortitude is now so substantial that his behavior no longer dictates your emotional state. You have transformed from being reactive to becoming a proactive presence in your own existence. This is the moment of genuine freedom. You no longer rely on his messages for happiness, nor do you dread his silence. Your joy now emanates from within, grounded in your commitment to self-respect. You understand that the most crucial relationship you will ever nurture is with your own spirit. This evolution is lasting, resting upon a new comprehension of love. You recognize that love devoid of respect merely masks hidden suffering. You have exchanged the tumultuous highs and lows of a chaotic relationship for the steady tranquility of self-love. Navigating the world from this standpoint, you exude a serene elegance. You no longer need to argue your worth because you embody it. You have become a woman who is not only hard to lose but unforgettable because you exemplify what it means to prioritize one's own dignity over toxic connections. From this moment forward, you establish the tone. You determine who deserves your time. Your transformation shifts you from a position of waiting to one of active choosing. This marks the conclusion of the psychological cycle of loss and the commencement of a journey toward a love that is truly mutual, sincere, and whole. The ultimate realization occurs when you come to understand that your dignity does not serve as a barrier to love, but as a filter that permits only the right kind of love to enter. A man who perceives you in this light confronts a profound truth about his own character. If he opts to rise to the occasion, he does so knowing he must consistently offer his best. He recognizes that your presence is a precious gift to be cherished, not an entitlement to be taken for granted. Should he choose to leave, he bears the heavy awareness that he has forfeited something extraordinary due to his inability to value it. Your life now transitions into a phase defined by radical honesty. You lack the patience for games or vague promises. You anticipate straightforwardness because you engage directly with your own desires. This clarity forms a protective shield around your heart. When someone enters your life attempting to use outdated tactics of guilt or mixed signals, your system rejects them automatically. There is no need for conflict. You simply no longer resonate with their energy. This marks a significant shift where you cease to be the one who is harmed and instead become the one who has learned. The psychological transformation within your nervous system is complete. You have conditioned your mind to recognize that security arises from your boundaries, not from another's approval. This realization alleviates the anxiety that often characterizes various relationships. You can now express warmth and affection without being vulnerable to mistreatment. You have achieved a delicate balance of a tender heart with an unwavering resolve. It is this equilibrium that makes you an unforgettable presence in his life and a formidable force in your own. You stand upon a foundation impervious to the upheavals of a breakup or a challenging day. You have discovered the center that thinkers like Jung described as the true self. From this vantage point, you do not merely endure love, you command it. You are the architect of a new narrative in which respect is the opening chapter and peace is the concluding word. Having returned to your essence, you have irrevocably altered your future. The final shift manifests as your dignity evolves from being a conscious effort to becoming your natural environment. At this point, the man comprehends that your standards are not merely a checklist of rules to which he must adhere, but rather the very essence he must embody to remain in your orbit. This represents the ultimate psychological surrender for him. He acknowledges that he can no longer negotiate with your soul. He observes that you are untroubled by the silence that accompanies his absence, which in turn empowers you more than any threats or arguments he could deploy. This is where he confronts the reality that you are no longer the focal point of his universe. You are the center of your own. Upon reaching this state, your energy shifts from one of search to one of choice. You are no longer in pursuit of signs of his affection. You are now seeking evidence that he deserves the love you hold for yourself. This transformation is profoundly sensed by any man who comes into your life. It naturally places a demand on him to exhibit honesty, consistency, and respect. If he cannot meet this expectation, he will feel an overwhelming urge to leave, not because you have pushed him away, but because his own lack of integrity becomes uncomfortable in the light of your clarity. Your dignity acts as a mirror, reflecting either his maturity or his immaturity. You have reached a point where your inner tranquility surpasses any romantic connection. This embodies the essence of being non-negotiable. This means that no amount of attention or grand gestures can sway your stance. There exists a level beyond mere strength. It is neither loud nor dramatic nor driven by anger. It embodies calm authority. When your dignity becomes second nature, something remarkable occurs within him. He ceases to decode your existence and begins to reflect on himself instead. For the first time, He cannot attribute his confusion to your emotions. He cannot label you as overly sensitive or overthinking. You are steady, and that steadiness poses a challenge. A man who flourished in emotional unpredictability will feel vulnerable in the presence of emotional steadiness. While he may not voice it, he feels diminished, not from your action but due to your growth highlighting his stagnation. This marks the emergence of a final psychological shift. He begins to revisit every moment he underestimated you. Every time he believed you would tolerate more, every moment he thought you could be bent. He now realizes you were never weak. You were simply loving, and he confused the two. That realization weighs heavily upon him, compelling him to confront a painful truth. He didn't lose you because you changed, but because he refused to. At this moment, admiration takes the place of control. If he remains in your life, you will notice a change in him. His tone softens, not as a form of manipulation, but out of humility. His actions become more calculated. He shifts from performing to genuinely participating, understanding that access to you is no longer guaranteed. However, it's crucial to note that not every man evolves during this phase. Some may employ one last tactic: comparison. He might subtly reference other women or try to provoke jealousy to confirm he still matters. Yet, when you remain unfazed, something within him crumbles quietly because he recognizes that you are not in competition. You are choosing. A woman who chooses from a place of abundance cannot be easily threatened. This signifies the psychological end of ego dominance. Your calmness becomes louder than his provocations. Here, the true transformation shifts from him to you. You begin to feel lighter. Your body remains relaxed when you see his name on your screen. Your breathing is steady, your sleep improves, and your thoughts become clearer. This is no coincidence. Your nervous system has exited survival mode. For too long, you loved from a place of vigilance, monitoring his moods, deciphering his silence, and preparing for emotional upheaval. Now, your system recognizes that safety comes from within, radiating outward. As a result, people begin to treat you differently, not due to demands, but because your posture, eye contact, and silence have changed. You are no longer open to emotional chaos, and chaos, in turn, detects rejection. A deeper layer of personal growth begins to fulfill itself. You cease to romanticize potential and stop believing that loving harder will invoke transformation in someone else. You accept a difficult yet liberating truth. Personal growth occurs only when discomfort eclipses denial, and your dignity has cultivated that discomfort, not through punishment, but through limiting access. There exists power in what you refuse to tolerate. At this stage, if he attempts to return, not with charm, but with accountability, you will sense the difference instantly. There will be no surge of adrenaline or dramatic reunion. Rather, it will be a calm evaluation. You will ask yourself a singular question: does this align with the woman I have become? Not whether you miss him or if he loves you, but whether this honors who you are. That question encapsulates your transformation. Your approach to love becomes deliberate rather than impulsive. If he cannot match your new standard with consistent behavior, you will depart without collapsing. This represents the true victory, not inciting his regret for losing you. When a woman reaches this level of self-awareness, she becomes unforgettable. It is not due to drama, but rather her discipline concerning self-worth. Years may pass, yet he will recall the moment your energy transformed, the day your eyes ceased searching for validation, and the moment your voice emanated certainty instead of hope. You became the mirror he could no longer evade, and mirrors do not deceive. Yet, here lies a final truth seldom discussed. This journey was never about subduing his ego. It was about integrating your own shadow, the part of you that feared abandonment, that accepted half-love, and that confused intensity with intimacy. You did not only change how he perceives you, you transformed how you see yourself. This internal reorganization is permanent. Now, whenever love approaches, it meets structure, clarity, and a woman who does not bargain with her own soul. This embodies the essence of emotional sovereignty. It is quiet, grounded, and immensely appealing, signaling that you are no longer open to half-hearted love. Ultimately, something beautiful occurs. You stop viewing relationships as struggles for power and cease analyzing who has the upper hand. You come to understand that genuine love lacks hierarchy. It consists of two complete individuals willingly choosing one another, not relying on each other for completeness. If he is capable of rising to your level, he will feel proud to stand alongside you, not above you. If he cannot, he will experience the distance as a reminder of what maturity necessitates. Regardless, you remain anchored. You have transitioned from attachment to alignment, anxiety to authority, and from pleading to establishing boundaries. This transformation is irreversible. Once a woman experiences the peace of self-respect, she cannot revert to the chaos of self-betrayal without immediate awareness of it. You have crossed a significant threshold. You are no longer a woman hoping to be chosen. Instead, you are now the woman discerning who is worthy of remaining in your life. This is not arrogance, it is awakening. This marks the final stage, not of losing him, but of discovering yourself. And once you find yourself, no one will be able to take that away from you.